Back now with a controversy over President Obama arguing that a group calling itself the Islamic State is in fact not Islamic. Brooke Goldstein joins me now. Brooke, your thoughts?
Well, last time I checked, anybody who called Obama an Islamist was called themselves a lunatic conspiracy theorist. But here we have the President of the United States preaching to the world what Islam is and what Islam isn't. And I find it quite presumptuous for a non-Muslim, who happens also to be the President of the United States, to be dictating who is a real Muslim and who isn't. And no matter how much Obama would like us to believe that ISIS's version of Islam doesn't exist, or how much the Council on American Islamic Relations likes to bend over backwards to convince us that there aren't people who are quoting the Quran while murdering innocent civilians.
But he didn't. That didn't seem to be Hassan's point, that people aren't doing it. He's saying that they don't speak for all of Islam and that they're perverting Islam. He likened it to the Westboro Baptist Church perverting Christianity.
Right, but no matter what Islam is or Islam isn't, or what his version of Islam is, or what Obama's version of Islam is, or what I would like Islam to be, or what you would like Islam to be, does not matter. It's all a distraction from the real issue, and that is you have terrorists who are quoting the Quran while lobbing people's heads off, and that is a strategic threat. And it is that version of Islam that is a national security threat to the United States, and it's that version of Islam that we should be learning about and paying attention to.
But the president seems to be speaking to the overwhelming number of Muslims who are peace-loving and do not believe in jihad and don't want to see these ISIS crazies take the name of their faith in vain as they behead Americans.
Right, but the president crossed a line when he started preaching to the world about what Islam is. The president is not an authority on religion, and nor should he be. And it is not his job to go into that black hole, that energy vampire of debating what Islam is. That is a job for theologians, and that is the job for Muslims to debate.
Okay, but let me ask you this, Brooke. Were you critical of President Bush, who did something that sounded very similar? Here's the soundbite.
The face of terror is not the true faith of Islam. That's not what Islam is all about. Islam is peace. These terrorists don't represent peace. They represent evil and war.
Go ahead.
Well, they certainly don't represent peace, and yes, my criticism is leveled equally. Any president who decides to define what Islam is or isn't is crossing the line. And frankly, it doesn't matter what Obama's version of Islam is, because it has no authority over ISIS. ISIS continues to use the Quran to justify murder. The facts are we have hundreds of Western Muslims who are traveling to Syria because they believe it is their duty as Muslims to engage in a violent jihad. And no matter what former President Bush's version of Islam is or Obama's version of Islam is, it doesn't matter.
What did you make of Hassan in his defense of himself and those he considers moderate?
I mean, you pointed out who Hassan is. I mean, this is a man who is an apologist for terrorism. This is a man who has refused to call Hezbollah, a group that has recruited over 42,000 children as suicide bombers and child soldiers. He has refused to call them a terrorist group. And the organization that he works for, the Council on American Islamic Relations, when they were asked why ISIS was created, if it was theologically motivated, they came out with a statement saying that ISIS was created because of the lack of freedom and justice in the region. What does that mean? ISIS is an organization that's killing, engaging in a genocide of Christians and non-Muslims.
Right.
They're just freedom fighters.
Right, but Turkey there has been completely anti-Sunni and has led to the Sunnis allowing a group like ISIS to take advantage of, that anger that they've had towards the government. I'm assuming that's what they meant. Brooke, it's great to see you. I got to go.
You too. Thank you.